My name is Natalie Brennan, and 6 months ago I stood on the front steps of the house I grew up in, holding foreclosure papers and a set of keys. The same house my stepmother Vivian had thrown me out of 9 years earlier, claiming my father left everything to her. The same woman who'd called me ungrateful and had security escort me off the property was now inside packing boxes, preparing to leave the home I'd just purchased at auction for $2.3 million. I didn't knock. I used my key, walked through the door I'd been dragged through as a heartbroken 22-year-old, and said the words I'd been waiting 9 years to say. "Hello, Vivian. I'm the new owner. You have 30 days to vacate." But this story doesn't start with victory. It starts with grief and betrayal happening at the same time, which is a special kind of pain that changes you forever. 9 years ago, my father Thomas Brennan died of a heart attack at 61. He was a commercial real estate investor, self-made, successful. He'd raised me alone after my mother passed when I was 8. We were close, or at least I thought we were. He remarried when I was 19 to Vivian, a woman 15 years younger than him who'd been his real estate agent. I tried to be happy for him. She was charming at first, attentive, the kind of woman who knew exactly what to say to make you feel seen. But after the wedding, things shifted. She started redecorating the house, erasing traces of my mother. She'd make comments about my career choices, my apartment, my boyfriend. Nothing overtly cruel, just enough to make me feel small. My father noticed, but always made excuses. "She's adjusting. Give her time. She loves you like a daughter." She didn't, but I didn't realize how much she didn't until my father died suddenly during a business trip. I got the call at work, dropped everything, and rushed to the hospital. He was already gone. Vivian was there, crying dramatically, surrounded by their friends. I stood in that hallway feeling like an outsider at my own father's death. The funeral was 3 days later. Vivian planned everything without consulting me. She chose readings I knew my father would have hated, invited business associates instead of family. I sat in the front row of the church feeling like I was attending a stranger's service. Then came the will reading. My father's attorney, Richard Chen, called us both to his office a week after the funeral. I assumed it would be straightforward. My father had always told me everything would be mine one day. The house, the business, the investments. He'd built it all for me. Richard looked uncomfortable as he opened the file. Thomas updated his will 18 months ago. The primary beneficiary is Vivian Brennan. She inherits the house, the investment portfolio, and controlling interest in his business. Natalie receives a trust fund of $100,000 to be distributed over 5 years. I stared at him. "That's not possible. My father wouldn't." Vivian interrupted, her voice soft with fake sympathy. "Natalie, your father and I discussed this extensively. He wanted to make sure I was taken care of. You're young, you have your whole life ahead of you. I'm older, I need security. He thought this was fairest." "Fairest? He built that business for me. He told me. He told you a lot of things before he met me. People's priorities change when they remarry. It's natural." She stood up, gathered her purse. "Richard, please arrange the trust distributions." "Natalie, I'm sure this is difficult, but your father's wishes are clear." I sat there for an hour after they left, trying to understand how my entire future had been erased. Richard looked genuinely sympathetic. "Natalie, the will is legal. Thomas was of sound mind when he signed it. I'm sorry." Did he seem coerced? Pressured? He seemed like a man in love who wanted to provide for his wife. I'm truly sorry. 2 weeks later, I went to the house to collect some of my mother's belongings that were still stored in the attic. Things Vivian hadn't thrown away yet. I used my key, let myself in, and found Vivian in the living room with an interior designer, planning renovations. She looked up, annoyed. "Natalie, you should have called." "I'm just getting some of my mom's things from the attic." "Actually, we're converting the attic into a home office. I've already cleared it out, donated most of it. If there was something specific you wanted, you should have mentioned it earlier."
Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Turn on bell notification to stay updated for more revenge stories.
Something in me snapped. "You donated my mother's belongings? Without asking me?" "They were taking up space. Your father never went up there. It was time." She said it so casually, like she was discussing old furniture. This is my house. My father built this for me. Her expression changed then. The mask dropped completely. This is my house. Your father left it to me, and I think it's time you understood something, Natalie. You were his past. I was his future. He chose me. He provided for me. You got $100,000, which is more than generous. Now I need you to leave, and don't come back without calling first. I grew up here. You can't just... She picked up her phone. I can, and I am. You're trespassing. Either you leave now, or I call security and have you removed. I stood there, shaking with rage and grief and disbelief. Then I heard footsteps. 2 security guards appeared, clearly already on standby. Vivian had planned this. She gestured toward the door. Escort Miss Brennan off the property, please. She's no longer welcome here. They walked me to the door, not roughly but firmly. I stood on the front steps, looking back at the house where I'd grown up, where my mother had lived, where every memory of my father existed. Vivian watched from the window, arms crossed, satisfied. Have you ever felt erased from your own history? Let me know in the comments. That night, I sat in my tiny apartment and made a decision. I could spend years fighting the will, burning through money on lawyers for a case I'd probably lose. Or I could accept the reality and build something she could never take from me. I chose the second option. I took the first trust payment, $20,000, and invested it in a real estate investment course. If my father had built his wealth through property, so could I. I studied everything: market analysis, property valuation, negotiation tactics, financing strategies. I worked my day job in marketing and spent every night and weekend learning real estate. 6 months later, I bought my first property, a foreclosed condo in a developing neighborhood. I used every dollar of the second trust payment as a down payment, took out a hard money loan for renovations, and spent 3 months fixing it myself. I learned to paint, install fixtures, refinish floors. When I sold it 4 months later, I cleared $30,000 in profit. I took that money and bought 2 more properties. Then 4. I lived minimally, reinvested everything, built a portfolio slowly and carefully. Every property I bought, I thought about the house Vivian had stolen. Every deal I closed, I imagined buying it back one day. By year 3, I had a portfolio of 12 rental properties generating steady income. By year 5, 28 properties across 3 neighborhoods. I'd quit my marketing job and was working real estate full-time. I hired a property manager, scaled up, started looking at commercial properties. I never contacted Vivian, never drove past the house. I deleted her from my life completely and channeled every ounce of anger into building something untouchable. Therapy helped. My boyfriend, now husband Marcus, helped. But mostly, the work helped. Buying properties, improving them, creating value where others saw problems. It became meditative. The turning point came 7 years in. I was at a real estate investors meeting when someone mentioned a mansion in foreclosure. Prime location, beautiful property, but the owner had over-leveraged and couldn't make payments. The bank was auctioning it in 3 months. He showed photos on his phone. It was my father's house, my house. The address was listed. Opening bid, $1.8 million. I went home and pulled every record I could find. Vivian had taken out multiple mortgages against the property. Used the equity for renovations, vacations, investments that failed. She'd burned through my father's fortune in 7 years and was now losing the house. I spent 3 months preparing. Arranged financing, confirmed my bid limit, researched the auction process. I told Marcus what I was planning. He asked if I was sure I wanted to go back to that place, dredge up those memories. I told him I wasn't going back. I was moving forward, and this was the final step. Auction day, I sat in a room with 30 other bidders. Vivian wasn't there. The bank representative auctioned the property in 15-minute increments. Bidding started at $1.8 million. I stayed quiet until it hit $2 million. Then I started bidding. It came down to me and one other investor. We went back and forth. 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. At 2.4, he dropped out. The auctioneer called it. Sold to bidder 17 for $2.3 million. I walked out owning the house where I'd grown up. The house Vivian had thrown me out of. The house that should have been mine 9 years ago. The bank gave Vivian 30 days notice. I didn't contact her directly. I let the eviction notice arrive through official channels. But 3 weeks later, I decided to inspect the property before she left. I used my legal right as the new owner, gave her the required 24 hours notice, and drove to the house for the first time in 9 years. The gate code had changed, but I had the new one from the bank. I pulled up the circular driveway and saw her through the window, directing movers. I took a breath, got out of my car, walked up the steps, and used my key. She was in the foyer, surrounded by boxes. When she saw me, her face went through confusion, recognition, then something close to horror. "Natalie, what are you doing here?" "I'm the new owner. I bought the house at auction." She stared at me. "You? That's not possible. You can't afford." "I can. I did."
Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Turn on bell notification to stay updated for more revenge stories.
"You have 30 days to vacate, per the eviction notice. I'm here to inspect the property." Her composure cracked. "Your father would be ashamed of you, kicking me out like this." I looked at her, really looked at her. She'd aged badly. Stress and bitterness had carved lines into her face. She looked smaller, diminished, nothing like the powerful woman who'd had me escorted out 9 years ago. "My father would be ashamed of a lot of things, mostly what you did with his legacy. You burned through his fortune in 7 years and lost the house he spent 30 years building. I'm not kicking you out, Vivian. You did this to yourself. I'm just the person who could afford to buy back what should have been mine in the first place. I have nowhere to go. You'll figure it out. You're resourceful. You convinced my father to leave you everything. I'm sure you can convince someone else to help you now." I walked past her toward the stairs. "I'm going to check the bedrooms. Take your time packing." I walked through every room. My childhood bedroom, now an exercise room. My father's office, stripped of everything that made it his. The attic where my mother's belongings had been, now empty. The house was a shell, drained of history and meaning, but standing there, I didn't feel sad. I felt powerful. I'd lost this house because someone manipulated my grieving father. Now I owned it because I'd built something she could never understand. Discipline, vision, delayed gratification. All the things my father had tried to teach me. When I came back downstairs, Vivian was sitting on a box, crying. Real tears, not performed ones. "I'm sorry for everything. I was cruel. I took advantage. I know that now. I could have said something cutting, could have twisted the knife. Instead, I just felt tired. I hope you find somewhere stable, Vivian. I really do. But you need to be out in 30 days. I left her there and walked out to my car. Marcus was waiting, asked how it went. I told him it felt like closing a book I'd been carrying around too long. We spent the next 3 months renovating. Not to flip it, but to live in it. We restored my father's office exactly how he'd had it, using photos I'd saved. We converted my old bedroom into a nursery. Marcus and I were expecting our first child, and I wanted her to grow up in the house her grandfather built, surrounded by the history Vivian tried to erase. 6 months ago, we moved in. I walk through these halls now and feel my father's presence in a way I couldn't when Vivian owned it. We've had family dinners here, celebrated birthdays, created new memories. My daughter will grow up knowing her grandfather through the house he built and the mother who bought it back. Last month, I ran into Vivian at a grocery store. She was working as a cashier, looked exhausted. She recognized me, started to say something, then stopped. I paid for my groceries, wished her well, and left. I meant it. I don't hate her anymore. She gave me the motivation to become someone she could never diminish again. The house is worth $4 million now. My real estate portfolio is worth $30 million. I'm 31 years old, and I built an empire from $20,000 and a lot of anger turned into ambition. But the best part isn't the money or the properties. It's knowing that I sleep in the house my father built, the house I earned back through grit and strategy and refusing to stay defeated. Vivian tried to erase me from my own inheritance. Instead, she gave me the push I needed to build something so much bigger than what I lost. That's not revenge. That's poetry. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to watch more revenge and inspiring stories that will make you excited like this one. Where are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments and let us know what you think about this story.
Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Turn on bell notification to stay updated for more revenge stories.